Hello, I'm Bruce Zimmerman, and this is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week. Garden Renovation. This is a new book by Bobbie Schwartz, and I really like this one, and there is a reason for that. This book is published by Timber Press, distributed in Canada by Thomas and Allen, and I want to say this. Okay. She plans this and she looks at this correctly. She says, evaluate what you have, decide what you want, and put your plan into action. Okay? 3 steps. Then everything you're going to do follows the same rules. Now, one of the things that she and everyone else who really truly gardens knows that things change. So you have to change, the garden has to change, and it has to meet your needs. And she starts with that as the concept of choosing change, because very often we need to. And let's be honest, it's an opportunity to improve a garden, make your house look better, make your garden more suitable to your needs, but also a lot more fun. You then have to understand the ability that you can do. There are certain things I can't do, but others that I can. So you have to then assess what can be done by others and what you really want, and do you really need to do those things. You want to be able to work not only with the soft material, but also with hardscaping. So we want you to be able to handle the concrete slabs, the inlay brick, the pea stone, the gravel, let's say, and even the larger rocks. So if you have the tools, you have the strength and ability, or the help, or all 3, then you need to go and put that into the plan. But it has to be set up and done in certain stages. In other words, you can't plant the plants and then put the rocks in. So you got to put the rocks in and then plant the plants. And that type of progression is absolutely necessary, and it can only be done with planning. What I always found was when you put a rock in, okay, the rock, you never get 2 rocks the same, and it's not exactly just the way you expected it to happen, so you have to go and work around it. And sometimes you go and move the rocks halfway through, like I've had it over there for 5 years. It's time to move the rock over to the other side of the yard. Great. So when you move, you got to change both where it's going and where it was. So a lot of things will be done, and some assessment. Is it worthwhile? So she covers then the assessment and choosing of new plants and changes to the garden. And then she says, how do you put it into action? What are the stages, etc. She does include a few success stories in here. I consider anyone who does any of this a success. And let's be honest, if the plant lives, it's a success. If a plant dies, okay, whether it's through your fault or not, it's an opportunity for change and to start this whole progression of activities again to evolve and change your garden. So, understand this. I'd never put a forsythia in here. I took out every plant in my yard that the house came with, everything, and started from scratch. So the forsythias went, the honeysuckles went, the blue junipers went, and many others. Okay? So everybody goes down my street and says, that's where the gardener lives. And so it changed. And now there's a Loch Ness monster that goes across my lawn. It's covered in a glacier ivy. which supposedly isn't hardy. The colchica, Hedera colchica variegata, grows as a ground cover. It used to be up high, up on a fence, till wind and snow and fencers and a few other people seemed to attack it. And now it's a ground cover. Maybe it'll get up the fence someday again, but who knows. As long as it's not my neighbor's fence, he don't care. So it's going to change, and you want to be able to choose the plants, etc. And you have to assess your needs, the plant's needs, and put in the best plants for the activity, the need, and of course the climate. So if you're pushing the climate, fine, push the climate. For 20 years I've grown a southern magnolia in my yard, okay? In fact, 2 of them, right? One in the front, one in the back. Am I pushing the limits? Yes. But it's been 20 years. So, who knows? I also want you to understand that by pushing and picking and moving, that you're going to be putting in plant material that you like, that makes the garden yours, that suits the whole environment. And let's be honest, just like forsythia, I wouldn't have one in my yard. No way. Nor would I have most honeysuckles in my yard, though I do have a mandarin honeysuckle vine in my yard, right? Always said, I'm not having honeysuckle. Well, there's the mandarin. Do I look after it? Do I do anything with it? No, I prune out the dead and leave it grow up on the fence in the corner, and it does what it does, and it attracts the hummingbirds. As a result, it gets to stay. So you're going to pick and choose the plant material that you like. You might be into hostas, you might be into daylilies, you may be into rhododendrons, etc. Okay, maybe it's all coral bells. Maybe you're shady, maybe you're sunny. So everything has to be such. But you could also be a vegetable gardener. And you may be putting in a standard vegetable garden, or you may be mixing your vegetables in with your rest of your mixed shrub border, and of course using them as annuals to give interest in your garden. I'm thinking of sinking banana trees in your garden, hardy figs that aren't supposed to be here, ornamental grasses, which always give great interest. Another one I don't like is Perovskia. I don't put that one in my yard. But I do like hydrangeas, and I have a lot of those. So, clematis. Why put in any clematis? There's such a great variety. Don't put them in, etc. It's all covered in this book, and I want you to understand and utilize this. Sometimes, okay, and I know there's a section in here, and when I was going through, and it talks about bare walls, okay? Now, a bare wall could be a garage. It could be the neighbor's garage. It could be your fence. And in a lot of ways, they are ugly. It gives you some ideas of what to do with those. And it's important. They add interest to the garden, and I like the outdoor paintings. Okay? No problem. There are some people who, and a lot of people are starting to put them back in again with the hardier varieties of cedar hedges coming through, that you'll have a cedar hedge. Well, that cedar hedge is a bare wall. Even though it's plant material, it's a straight bare wall. How do you break it up? Do you break it up? Do you go and plant other plants with it? Do you put in statuary, garden art? I have a whole article on my website on garden art that I've seen over the years. But when I do garden tours, these are the things that I have seen, and I consider them mistakes, but at the same time, It's somebody else's garden, and this is what they like. So pick up the book. It is published by Timber Press and distributed by Thomas Allen. And it is called Garden Renovation by Bobbie Schwartz. And it is well worth the money. It really is. The color pictures are accurate. There's enough of them. And there's a lot of good, solid information in here to give you a guide to changing and renovating your garden. I'm Bruce Zimmerman. This is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week.